Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Emergence Show. I'm so excited you're here because we've got an exciting conversation lined up. Have you ever wondered how gaming and AI could completely transform the way we learn and grow, especially in corporate settings? Well, today we are diving into this topic with someone who's truly pushing the boundaries in this space. Joining me is Laurent Rozenfeld, co founder of Beyönd, a visionary gamified learning and AI driven training experiences. Lauren is turning gaming into a powerful tool for building teams and developing soft skills, revolutionizing how we think about corporate training. Whether you are a creative technologist or a brand executive, you are going to walk away with something amazing, full of insights and practical takeaways. Let's jump in and explore the future of learning together. Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
Hi, Nico. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me. I'm great. I'm very happy
Amazing.
to be here and talk a little bit with you all, guys.
Amazing. Thank you. And thanks to our amazing community being already here, Gabriel, Rihanna, and everyone else who is tuning in live or joining us as a recording. Hi, Natalia. Thank you for joining. So grateful. Yes, tell us where you're calling from. We're excited to get into topic of education. We talked about all aspects of immersive experiences and AI, but one of the great use cases is education, especially in corporate, that often is very boring to learn what we need to learn. So before we get into the specifics of it, tell us about your story. How did you get started? What motivated you to even want to build something like this?
Sure. So it actually all started. I'm a gamer, so the whole idea of gaming. Well, I've been doing it since of young age, and it started with two different elements. First of all, many games are actually trying to copy reality into another context. So the idea is, especially in role-playing games, you create profiles, you create different sets of rules that are trying to copy reality. So the idea is, why not try to do the other way? Try to use those kind of material in order to add them back into reality and use them to learn something different or
Mm,
learn more about yourself. And the first time I really started using it for companies was actually at university. At the time, we started talking about CSR, corporate social responsibility. And I'm from Belgium. And there at the time, well, no teacher knew about it. It was really a new topic. Now it's part of every company, but in early 20s, early 2000, nobody knew about it. So I started creating business games, first of all for a student organization called ISEC, about hydrogen cars that explode and the impact that you have on different stakeholders. So at that time, we didn't use any computers. It was all on paper. But I started using knowledge about hydrogen, about how different stakeholders interact between them, and have students learn about corporate social responsibility by playing this game, which was
mm,
then used in many countries. And then I started
wow,
doing it for universities.
that's amazing.
So that's
But
how it.
so that's how you started bringing gaming into education. And then what made you build this platform?
So a few years later, I entered into the professional leisure industry in the sense of I'm partnering in the biggest escape room slash VR center in Belgium.
Wow.
And we mainly work with companies organizing team building activities, but also using the whole technologies that we have for training. So it can be used, escape games can be used, for example, about learning more about yourself, about communicating with others. getting outside of your comfort zone. And well, 2020 arrived, COVID. We had to close for a year and a half, more or less. And at the time, companies with whom we worked asked us if we had anything online, because you have very little online activities,
Yeah.
complex activities for teams. And that's where we decided to build Beyond, which
Hmm.
uses all the game mechanics we know and transpose them online.
Wow. Physical to digital. Very cool. And then you kind of started adding things to it. So did you notice a difference between, like a huge difference between the physical setting and this virtual? Is it better, worse?
It's different, it's complementary, and at the same time there are elements you find back. What happens is that the way we work has changed. In the past we used to talk much more to each other. Nowadays we communicate much more online. And one amazing example was actually in the physical, in this escape game. We had one day a team that used to work in the same office space,
Hmm.
but they never talked to each other. They had to to keep proof of keep track of everything that they were communicating about. So all communication was going through emails, chats, etc. And then we put all of them in an escape game, and then suddenly they have no technology and they have to start talk like normal humans should do. And we had to give them a whole icebreaker because they couldn't work together. So you
Wow.
have a change in the way we approach things, the way we communicate. You have telework, remote working. You have more and more international teams working together. So what we notice is that maybe online you have less empathy. People don't necessarily know how to convey a message properly, especially in a written way.
Hmm.
In email, sometimes you have people writing everything in capital letters or using different emojis. So the, there are differences between how people communicate and work together online and offline, definitely.
Yeah, there's so much that can't be communicated or miscommunicates when you are just trusting the text. Even audio is not enough, and video is better, but it's not the best. Like it's just interesting that you're kind of adding these complementary elements to that even works to enhance if people in the same physical space. That's very cool. And obviously, I can, understand that because I worked in corporate in the past and, tech corporate. A lot of folks, they just want to focus on their own task. So they hardly want to even interact with others. So really cool stuff. So we're going to get into the specifics of it. And good morning, Ian. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all the great questions, Gabriel, already. We'll get to all of them. So let's set the concept first. What's the difference between gamification and game-based learning?
Yeah. So we do both of them. And the main difference is that with gamification, you will be gamifying something. So
Mm,
you have the most obvious is, for example, using an LMS system or different trainings, and you will be using or adding scoring, leaderboards, things like that in order to uh, make it more exciting. So this is, of course, the top of the iceberg. There are other tools used to gamify something and make it more exciting. But the main purpose is really to create those interactions. With game-based learning, we're talking really about using a game to teach something. So it can be any game. We can even use a card game that will be used to teach something, or we can
mm,
develop a whole game on a specific topic in order to train people using that game. So they're complementary, but the objective is not the same.
very interesting. And often people just know about gamification. They don't really think about this. So the concept of game-based learning is very interesting. And so, can you tell us, like, high level, what are some of the benefits of this that you've noticed? Like, why should people even care about this?
So well, you have different way to train people. Uh, Originally, in the past, we used to have it physical. You would have a trainer in front of you, and you would have
Yeah.
activities. You move around. You discuss a lot between yourself, especially in corporate training. Nowadays, it becomes more and more online. Online
Mm-hmm.
training is very often focused on videos, texts, slides, and
Yeah.
quizzes. I think most people will say it's kind of boring. Of course, you have quality instructional designers that come up with more creative and imaginative ways of doing it using other tools like Storyline, etc. Um, but it still remains like a very small part of the whole training. And then, of course, you have hybrid where you have a combination of online and offline, which personally I find it's the ideal because then you can use both strengths together. So the way we work and the idea of not just gamifying, but really use game-based learning, whether it's online or offline, is first of all to bring people together and work together on
Mm.
an issue. That way, you have different exchanges between other people, different perceptions. People can exchange about a topic, saying, "Okay, I understand it this way or that way." A very simple example. Um, Today there was someone on LinkedIn that put a math problem and asked what is the answer, and the answer was or 25 or 7 basically. One of the two was correct, the other one wasn't. um, and you start having a whole conversation about why is this one the right answer and not the other one. So
Mm-hmm.
people start using their brain. It's not just about learning the theory, but actually experimenting with it, and a game is the best way to do that.
So basically, it's some sort of challenge or common purpose that people collaborate to solve, and that initiates conversations, relationships, hopefully, and interactions to get to know each other more.
Yeah. So it fosters team building, team cohesion at the same time while learning about a specific topic and experimenting with the knowledge that you gain, not just learning by heart or just having the passively absorbing the content.
So it's both single player and multiplayer, correct?
Yeah.
Like you can have either.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I would love to get into showing people a little bit before we get into more specifics because always showing is better than telling. Is there one that you want to start to kind of giving us an idea of like what we've been talking about?
Yes, definitely. So we're using both AI and 3D. So actually, those can be combined or used separately. So what I will show you first is actually in a 3D setting, which is really focused on team dynamics. Um, I will just share it.
Yes, Gabriel, I think you would love this topic. I know you're so much into education. Yes, this is a great example. All right, so what is this?
So this is first of all to know, because you have a lot of tools that are based on the metaverse, which I like very much, um, but they're not always adapted to corporate world because most
Mm-hmm.
of them require GPUs, powerful computers, and most companies don't have them. So what we designed is a platform that doesn't require any GPU. So the
Mm-hmm.
a basic laptop can work with it. This is one
It's
of
all
the
browser based, or do they
all
have to download? Okay.
no, it's all browser based and can be implemented basically in any LMS, and you can connect it with SCORM and other things to analyze
Yeah.
what has each person has done. So in here, basically, this is the game. It's like a standard game, if you want, called the Mansion, and it works like an escape game. So you will basically have uh, the game master that sort of kidnapped a team that went for a team building activity and decided to create his own version of the team building activity. And what happens is the game master is splitting the team into 4 smaller groups. So you have one in the green, black, blue, and pink rooms, and the game is really played in a 3D setting where you actually walk in the mansion. The way it works is that at the start the doors are closed, and each team has to solve a specific puzzle in order to open the door. But to solve the puzzle, the four teams have to collaborate,
Mm.
and they have to use also tools that are normally used in the corporate world. So for example, for the first one, you will have a spreadsheet, so everybody has access to the same spreadsheet, and each team can go up to 6 person, so you can have a game of 24 people working playing at the same time. The way it works first is, I will get into a room up. So this is, for example, the pink room. You have for each room a puzzle like here. Okay, so first of all, of course, is to understand what you're supposed to do. Once that you understand what you're supposed to do, you have to communicate with the other teams. You have chat integrated into the system, and we also use any video call system, whether it's Zoom, Team, or the other,
Yeah.
to have also audio communication. You have a lot of content, different hint system, etc., in order to understand what you have to do. And here you have a book. I will not click on it right now, but you have a book with the Excel file or the spreadsheets that you have to use. Now, the difficulty in here is that you have 4 groups that have to communicate and about what they need and about what the others require. So it goes both ways. And you start with 4 groups, but then when they solve their puzzles, the doors open, and from 4 groups they become 2 bigger groups. So if you had, for
Wow.
example, 4 groups of 6, you now have 2 groups of 12, and they each have to solve another puzzle, but 2 different puzzles. So what happens? The team dynamics change because you started with small teams, you become bigger teams. At the beginning, they worked on the
Mm.
same puzzle. Now they work on separate puzzles. In the second level, they have to work with a Miro whiteboard to share the information. So
Mm.
it's all about how do you communicate. What roles are you going to take? For example, if everybody starts talking, it will be directly chaos. If you decide beforehand who is going to do what, you will have more order. You can also
Mm.
from the start give specific roles to each participant. And of course, once they solve the second puzzle, the doors open and they get access to the ground floor, where now they work as one big team, solving different puzzles together in order to leave the mansion. So
Wow.
we have different games designed that way, where you have different type of teams that have to collaborate. In here, this is something that is very standard, but we can design also games that are company specific, meaning that
Mm.
also the riddles are, for example, based on whether it's about the soft skills that you want to train, for example, about leadership, or if it's about content that is specific to a product, for example, of a company. So they have to learn more about the company's product in order to be able to continue their quests.
Wow. Really cool. And is this all from the first person view, or do you have avatars and you get to see others?
So it's first person viewer, and we're not going into real avatars, but you can see the other people with a picture, for example, or the name. Why not? Again, because if you start using avatar and additional
Adds
content,
more
you will need,
complexity. Yeah.
yes, and more power that you require. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's not the objective. The objective is here is to collaborate. Also, with each game, we have a facilitator which can communicate with the others through the chat and has a view, and even a view like here on the team, so you can really see how people interact. Imagine you create a game about
Yeah,
fire
like the
safety.
god in Mafia.
Exactly. But what's very interesting in here is that you will you will perceive the same thing as in a traditional escape game. For example, you will have people that will start looking around.
Mm.
You will have people that will remain on the same spot, but that will start communicating with the others in order to collect the data. So they will not be focusing on searching, but actually on gathering the content or
Mm.
structuring the data. So you can also find the different personalities in there. And what's very
Nice.
interesting in this kind of games is that you can also see with it what are the bottlenecks in a team. So instead of using it as a team building activity or a training, you start with it in order to see how people now communicate with between them. And very often after 15, 20 minutes, you will see where are the issues.
Wow. Very cool. And how was this kind of, experience with a corporate, like from a corporate perspective? What teams were involved? Was it the HR that's kind of, managed this, or they hand it off to you and you kind of manage it and you just give them the results? How does it work?
So this game is way designed by us, not with a company. So we created others that were specific to companies. But in there, basically, we can define the way that we want. If a company needs something specific with the puzzles, the riddles, etc., has to be specifically designed for a training course or anything else, we will be working with the company. Also, in some cases, we're working with experts in the field. If tomorrow we're working on a fire safety training, then of course we'll be working with people with
Sure.
the expertise to develop that. We have another game that was designed with insights professionals, which is called Space Sight. And for those who don't know insights, it's like a psychometric tool like DISC and the others where you sort of profile the different people.
Personalities. Yeah.
Exactly. So we created a game of sorts, the same sort but different, specifically for that, because psychometric tools are something very abstract. You learn
Yeah.
about it, you learn the theory, but then use it in different contexts. It's very complex. And actually, with the virtual world, you can create any context you want and put them in
Hmm.
this situation, and that way they can learn about more about the theory and understand better the theory that is behind it.
Very good. So after, it's not all about discovering other person's personality type. You also need to like really use the skills to manage the relationship. So that's how helpful it is. Amazing. If there's any question regarding this so far, please put it in the chat. Thank you for being here, everyone. So I would imagine AI would be a huge part of this as well, especially like, for managing, discussions or automating things. Can you tell us how you use AI, whether it's in designing these or creating
Yes.
content or managing?
Yes, absolutely. So this game was actually designed pre-AI, so we still have to adapt it in order to add
Sure.
AI content. Now, in AI, there are different ways of using it. If you take, for example, the ADI model, you will have first to analyze a situation. So there are different tools of AI to analyze a company. For example, if a company uses an LMS system, you can collect data, or a CRM system, you can collect data in order to see where or what should we do a training about. And then you can use the AI to design the training. So for example, in our case, we use with the new games, we use different GPTs in order to come up with ideas, prototypes, etc. And then we use more and more AI agents to conversational agents to communicate
Hmm.
with the AI. The AI is an amazing tool to give you additional hints and help about a specific situation or content. And I have a very nice example about that one.
Hmm.
If you want me to share it
Yeah,
now.
yeah, please.
Sure.
Would love to see it.
Sure. So um,
Yeah, I mean, there are so many use cases. I just got an email. You might have heard of Bordy. It's like all over the LinkedIn. And they've been sending me emails to go check it out. I just sent a message. I have to hear back from Bordy. But yeah, these AI chatbots are just like taking different shapes and forms and, being applied to different use cases. So.
Definitely. I believe that AI chatbots, I will call them more AI coaches, not trainers, but more coaches, will be a huge asset, whether it's in the training itself or, for example, in the LMS system that will help you, for example, define what are the training that you require in order to improve your skills based on the specific tasks that you have to do. So this one that I'm going to show, it's a prototype. I was talking about fire safety, and this is a prototype about fire safety using AI. Now, it's an over exaggeration. So this is definitely not an end product, but more an idea of showing what can be done. Just to give a little bit of context, what you're going to see here was recorded in my house.
Oh.
And I used AI to burn my house, basically. And instead of having a slides training about how to use extinguishers or what you should or shouldn't do in a burning house, the idea here is that you actually live it. So this is an interactive movie with different branches, and based on the decisions that you take, well, you survive or not. This is, of course, a very small part, and just to give the example. And in there you have Mr. Firestarter, that you can see him here and that you can call in order to ask for support. So what I will do, I will show you just a minute how it is. Again,
So
it's a
is he a firefighter or is he causing the fire?
well, you maybe don't see it, but it's actually the
It's
singer
pretty
of
small.
the singer that sung the song Firestarter of the past. But you will see he will
Oh,
also have a very fun way of communicating. But he's more like a fireman.
okay. Okay,
Okay,
cool.
so
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
this type of experiences are so rare and hopefully it never happens to anybody, but being prepared doesn't hurt. So at least
yes,
you can try it virtually and experience and be prepared.
for example, I followed a training about fire safety that give you a certificate at the end that you are
Mm,
certified fire safety experts. Honestly, okay, I've learned something from it, but don't tell I can't pretend to be a fire safety expert with what I've seen there. And
yeah.
even with this training neither. But the difference is if you learn about using an extinguisher and you have like 4 or 5 different models and each one is used in another case, it's much more interesting to learn by deciding if yes or not you're going to use the extinguisher in an immersive situation rather with a limited amount of time rather than doing it on paper where you have a slide or a quiz and saying are you going to use yes or no this extinguisher.
And that's why practice is so important. And like, it's not going to be memorable. You're just not going to remember 5 different options unless you actually used it, even in a hypothetical situation. So that's really cool.
Okay, so here I'm going to show you. You will probably hear the audio too.
Oh
Yes.
man, what's all that fire? And I just wanted to go take a relaxing shower. This is really getting bad and I should escape now. Where should I go? Let me see. What are my options?
So here basically you have 3 options. Of course, if the house is burning like that, you're already dead. Okay, so when we're doing a training like that, it will not be burning that way because it's way too late. But just for the wow effect, I've built it that way. Also, the way it will be done, the final product will be done will be a little bit different. But here, let's say I decide to go open this door.
Let's see.
Oh my God. You're burning.
That's hot. The window. Maybe if I can break it.
Okay, so you see here you have an extinguisher that appear, and the guy, well, I said maybe I could break the window to exit. So now I can, if I click, for example, on this, I will reduce a bit my screen. You can have additional information, for example, on the fire extinguisher. So here you can see it's a powder extinguisher that is A, B, C, the weight, etc. And then you can have
Should I
additional
use this
information.
thing? I don't think it will be powerful enough to stop the fire. I could use it to break the window and step out. Maybe better ask Firestarter for his opinion.
Okay, so here, for example, you can decide if you want to use Firestarter, yes or no. So let's have a conversation with Firestarter.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, what's your blast?
Hey man, do you hear me?
Loud and clear, like a siren's wail. Now, what's on your mind? Fire related, I hope.
Well, I'm actually in a building on fire, in a room with a lot of fire inside. There's also a big window outside, and there's fire outside. And there is a powder extinguisher, and I would like to know if I can use this extinguisher or I should do something else.
Okay, first things first, you're in a real pickle. Let's be clear. You should never try to fight a fire if you're trapped in a room with a fire already inside. Your primary concern is getting out alive. Here's what you should do: get low to the ground. Smoke rises, so try to crawl to the nearest exit. Feel the door. If it's hot, don't open it. Fire could be on the other side. Find another way out. Look for a window, a balcony, or any other escape route. If you can't escape,
Can I use the extinguisher to break the window and exit?
now you're thinking like a fire safety expert. Using the extinguisher to break a window is a good idea if you're trapped and need to get out. Here's how to do it: aim for the corner. Hitting the glass directly in the center is harder. The corner is weaker. Use the nozzle. Don't use the hose, it's too flexible.
Okay, so I will stop there. If you
Oh,
tell him that there is actually fire at the other side of the room, of the window, he will tell you that it's a really bad idea because you will have the glass that will come on you, it will cut you, the glass will be warm. So actually, the AI agent that we're using here has a lot of content knowledge about fire safety. And by playing the game this way, you can actually have a lot of theory by situation. So for each room, for example, you can ask what you should do. And based, of course, like prompting with AI, based on the questions that you ask, you will have better quality. If you ask the wrong questions, you will probably have bad answers, and then you will also
right.
take a bad decision. And one of the advantages of learning this way also is that because you have different options, you can go one door or the other. And for example, one time you die, the other one you succeed, you will be replaying. You have a different walkthrough over and over. So the same training, you can do it multiple times without it being boring. And each time you will learn something new.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, this I've already learned something, but yeah, this is so cool. And we have Christian telling us I'm utilizing Lauren and his company to create training around fire safety for one of my clients. He is brilliant. That's very obvious. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Chris.
Um, this is quite important when it comes to safety, extremely important that the training is memorable. Yep, we agree 100%. I mean, look what happened to LA with the fires. I wish we all knew all of this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm safe. People I know are safe, but this is an unfortunate thing that could happen to any of us. So,
Definitely. And there was the past, you had the Grenfell Tower in the UK where they actually gave the wrong order to the people.
well,
Um, and based on that, you had, well, what happened. So, fire safety is, of course, one example. And within companies also, it's a very important training. This is also why we'll be working on it. But this model can be basically done for a lot of different content. The combination of AI, because, for example, you can do a sales training. So you can use the AI as the potential customer, for example,
mm-hmm,
knowledge based. And then you can have a whole conversation about the potential customer. Using generative AI, you can create also the visuals, the audio, and everything for that specific customer. Or you have even about leadership training. So you
mm-hmm,
can have a situation with different characters. If you transpose this into a 3D environment, you can have a whole different context, different players meeting different AI characters, like in a real game. where one character has an impact on the other, and then you have a whole quest, and you learn by playing this quest.
Wow. So basically, this makes everything, more understandable and more memorable, and closer to the real thing. Because it's really, if you were just reading over text about this safety things, like who would remember that? But this actually like activates your emotions.
Exactly, and it's experiential. You
Yeah.
really learn. The best way of doing is learning by doing. And actually, my main objective would be, and one of the things I would really like to do, is to. We're talking about game-based learning. I would like to do actually game creation-based learning, so that
Mm,
teach people. One of the best way to learn about a topic is to teach it to others, because you have to understand it first in order to teach it to others.
yeah.
So if a team work together on creating a small training for other colleagues in the same company, they
Mm,
learn by actually designing a mini
mm,
game.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the companies are dedicating the time and resources to do it,
Yeah.
then yes, hopefully they will see the results. But that's amazing. So let's move on to, some of the questions, and then we get to the other topics. So Gabriel asked, how can we leverage AI-powered learning to prepare employees for the future of work, including the rise of automation, the increasing demand for digital skills, and so on? I think we kind of covered it, but is there anything else you would like to add, Lauren?
Yes. I believe, and Gabriel probably knows it, that the future of training and a lot of skills that will be used will be related to the metaverse. I'm the big metaverse. I'm not talking about how it was promoted till today.
Yeah.
And it's not for today. It's not for tomorrow. It will be in 5 to 10 years time. What happens is that you will, with AI, which is a big part of this metaverse world, with AI, a lot will change in the way we work, the way that we get access to content also. And it is important for people today to start learn use those tools, learn to use AI, learn to use how to move in a 3D environment. Because, for example, when you play the mansion, non-gamers need 5 to 10 minutes time to understand how to move in the whole building, how to click,
Yeah.
etc. Doesn't take much time, but it's something that you need to learn. And all those tools, by by having, well, companies starting to integrate it slowly, step at a time, they will also prepare people to start working with the new tools that will come up in a few years time. So
Amazing.
so the digital skills are definitely important, and the relationship digital skills and human skills shouldn't be forgotten. Otherwise, we will all be AI agents.
Totally. Another question, how can we effectively integrate human mentorship and guidance into AI-powered learning? How did you guys do that?
So, how can we effectively integrate human mentorship and guidance into AI powered learning platforms? So, I think that
Like,
no.
has this ever happened when you had, someone from the corporate wanting to be part of it, and mentor or educate?
Well, I think it's a bit reversed in the sense that we will be adding AI a little bit to everything, but the human or the human mentorship will always be there, in the sense
Mm,
that if you have a company, you have the HR manager, you will have the L&D manager, depending, of course, on the size of the company. So you will always keep this interaction. The AI will be a tool, an additional layer that you add in order to support the training, not vice versa. So I think that the the guidance and the mentorship will remain human, and I hope so, because if tomorrow everything is done by AI, uh, it's not the ideal world.
yeah, and Gabriel is saying like facilitators are gonna be there, right?
It will be support. AI
Yeah.
can, in our team games, you will always have a facilitator, because one of the most important aspects, even in the game like the mansion, one of the most important aspects is feedback. So between every level, you have a 15 minutes debrief with the facilitator, asking what went well, what went wrong, what did you understand, what did you learn, etc. And we use this content in order to build up and go to the next level. You could use an AI for that, but I still believe that humans want to communicate more with humans, and that the AI is just an extra.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Cool. And what are some of the things that people need to like be aware of, or like what are some of the use cases that this works or this doesn't work? Like, does it work for cybersecurity training? Like, what are the areas that may not be the best?
Actually, every area where you use a computer, it works. Of course, some games work better for one topic or the other. For example, in people that work alone, a lot alone, okay, technicians that work alone and never work in teams, it's maybe less interesting to do team games, except maybe if you want to have team building activities and improve the culture of the company. For
Right.
example, if we're talking about fire safety, everybody has to know what to do in a fire situation. So you will
Right.
have the solo, but then it would be a good exercise to do it as a team, like a drill, in order to see how people interact. Okay, and you want to have a team culture and not everyone trying to save their own skin and leave the others behind, for example. So this can be
Yes.
used as a simulation. But basically, also more and more on mobile phones. So we have micro learning, for example. So this can be used on mobile phones for people that don't necessarily use laptops. But it really depends on the situation. It really depends on the context. What do we want to learn? Is it a specific hard skill, a knowledge about a product, or is it more soft skills related? So depending, for example, soft skills, you would like to have team play more than solo play. I personally don't understand how you can learn about leadership from
By
slides.
reading about
Oh,
it.
even the best book can just teach you theory. You cannot learn to use leadership
No.
from a book. You need to experience it. And team play is the only way, actually, or one the safe ways to do it.
Well, I'm thinking even driving, right? When you get your license, doesn't mean you're a good driver. You know how to drive. It's like all practice. Same thing. Everything is practice. And
Hmm.
if you can't have it in, physical setting quick enough, why not using these tools? Or it's not safe, why not using these tools? So really cool. And
Exactly.
is there another use case so you want to show us or another experience?
So I can show you. Um, well, actually, I can show you several ones, but let's go for the one that I found the most. Um, the results was very impressive. Wait, where is
And then
it?
we get to some of the challenges, opportunities, and kind of future of all of this.
Yeah. So here it's the game that actually it was the first game that we designed based on insights. So you see, it's a completely different atmosphere. And just for those who don't know, insights like disc, etc., use colors and energies to represent personality, characteristics, traits, etc. So to simplify, but really simplify a lot, the yellow energy or color represent people that are more extrovert, creative. So the more like the marketing people. The red are more directive. You will see more managers in there. The green are like the people, which you will find more in HR, and the blue are more like the engineers that have structured logic thinking. Okay, so the
Mm-hmm.
way this game was designed was actually you have 4 times the same room, but the content in the room is uh, put in the layout based on the color of the room. So, for example, in here you have, hold on, where am I? In here you have the yellow room. So what you will have is you will have a presentation of a person that is very extrovert. You will have keywords that are related to the yellow color. You will have a lot of chairs together. You will have some creativity content in here. You will have a lot of visuals and things like that. If you play in the blue room, it will be the opposite. You will have much more bullet points, more focused on structure, logic, routine, etc. Okay, so what happens is the story here is that the people have to go colonize Mars. So this game was more designed for engineers. We had profiles, the insights profiles of all the participants, and based on that we designed the teams, so we knew exactly what to expect. This of course was also designed with Insight certified professionals. And
Amazing.
the game was made that way that each team is in one of the rooms and they have to collaborate to solve a puzzle. And when they succeed, they switch rooms. So there's a new puzzle, but you will be, for example, at the start in the blue room, then you will be in the yellow room, and etc., etc. So what happens? We put you in someone else's shoes. Imagine that you're blue energy, you're
Mm,
very structured, and we put you in the yellow room where everything is quite chaotic, quite creative. If you want an information,
mm.
you have to go left, right, etc., etc. So it's much more. It can be nerve breaking for some people. And one of the amazing things we experienced here is that we noticed that the people started changing in the game based on the room where they were located. For example, and that was the most impressive element, is in one of the in the third level you play two teams separately. So you have the yellow and the blue, and the green and the red. The yellow and the blue somehow managed to communicate very well using the chat, so they solved it. On the other hand, the green people, which normally in their own profile they were not green oriented, they were more blue, more engineers. What happened? They started putting the priority on the other team, the red team. So for the green HR people, human people, it's more first focus on the others and then on yourself. So they did
Mm,
everything to help the red team. When it
mm,
was when they succeeded, the red team, what did they do? They just took a screenshot of the riddle, send it to the green team, and say, okay, now you solve your thing. And the people in the green team had no idea how to tell to the red team, it's not enough. We cannot solve the puzzle that way. We need more help from you. And
mm,
actually, those two teams, the people adapted to the color of the room. And because of the miscommunication between the two others had to wait. So after a while, they came to help in order to see, came to see what's wrong and came to help. And at the end of this level, where they solved it, but the green team, they thought it was their fault. So, which normally shouldn't be the case. First of all, it wasn't their fault; it was the fault of the other team. But because they had the impression that they failed the others, and this is really playing with insights in a way that you cannot really do live in a real world.
yeah.
Mm. So this is
Or it will
extremely.
cost a lot of challenges. That's really cool. Wow. Very cool. I mean, so basically, you set the environment that matches different personality types, and then people get to empathize with others, and then they also adapt their behavior to the environment to some
Yes,
extent.
and it
Really cool.
shows that you can do it also online,
Wow.
which a screen is still a barrier, but yet with the right structure, the right models, you can make people get out of their comfort zone. And this is the best way of learning, is actually now they understood what it means to be green energy rather than
Hmm.
blue, how they are normally daily.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I can think of so many use cases in the companies I worked for or had, and yeah, I mean, a lot can be resolved if you just empathize and understand each other. So, at least spending a few hours doing these things really, I think, shifts per people's perspective. Um,
This is
yeah,
one thing. Secondly, they better understand the theory that is behind what they've seen, because when you do, for example, a psychometric tool, a test, well, you respond to questions in a survey. They give you your profile, and you say, okay, that's me, that's not me. Okay, I see myself in this and that.
yeah,
Uh, and then you do usually some exercises to learn about the others. But here you go a step beyond that, and especially with large companies that use those tools on a larger scale, this is much easier to have people understand the models behind it and the whole concept, and even
yeah.
redo it several times in order to to keep in mind what they've learned.
This is amazing. I attended a few days ago an XR talk in VR chat with Agog, and they are highlighting different nonprofit works, and one of them was focused on ADHD solutions with VR. So similar concept of like putting the person in the shoes of someone with this special condition and really understanding, because from outside it seems like they're not normal, but what is like for them, and having that empathy helps us to come closer and try to collaborate and understand and support. So I can think of so many use cases that these tools can be used. Thank you for sharing it. This was really cool.
Sure. And I think indeed that VR or XR as a whole is the probably the most immersive way to learn about
Yeah,
something. On the other hand, it's also it can be a logistical nightmare, especially if you have
right.
a lot of employees that are all over the place. So what we try to do here is like a hybrid solution up
Yeah,
till to the time when VR will be much more accessible and more easy to
right.
use.
And our brains are special, they sometimes cannot even fully tell this is not real. Like when you're so deep in it, you may feel like this is real. I'm like watching movies. A lot of times we cry and laugh and, have similar emotions as if we are part of that story. So this is a great step towards, recreating reality. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that.
Well, with pleasure.
And we have great comments. Gabriel says, let's colonize Mars. Why not? Blue
Next
energy.
game. I'll do a
Well,
game with Elon.
yes. Gabriel, I don't think you're blue. I think you're more on the green side. But I think, yes, there are a lot of engineers with that blue. And
It's
Ian
always a
says,
combination.
yeah, we're all mixed. Real world use cases will be the paradigm shift.
Mm.
Totally. I agree with that. And yes, Felipe says so many people are getting used to VR. I mean, it's expensive. Not everybody all over the world can afford good ones. And, it causes headache and, so many things are still not fully there yet. So why not using what we have?
We do.
So yeah, go ahead.
We use VR for training, but we notice different things that are still bottlenecks in order to make it really efficient on a larger scale. It will come. It's just a matter of time.
Totally. And maybe AR glasses
Mhm.
that seems to be more popular nowadays. And melts into what we're already doing. Cool. So let's get into, we only have like 7 minutes or so, so I want to make sure we use it efficiently. Can you tell us, like being in Belgium and in Europe in general, how is it different from the US? Like how are people supporting or utilizing this? Do you have any thoughts about the differences?
So already in Europe, you have big differences from one country to the other. So
Yeah.
I'm spending my life between Belgium and France, neighboring countries. You would expect them to be the same. They're not, because
Mm,
just the leadership structure is very different. The budgets are also different. I would say that in the US, it's more advanced, more open, more interested in spending money in innovative solutions. We're more
Mhm.
lay back in Europe, and Belgium maybe more than some other countries. Another big difference is in the United States, you have a lot of compliance training, much more than in Europe, which are sort of compulsory and boring. Because a lot of this is the one thing that I will remember all my life. I will disappear with this one. I used to work for an American company like over 10 years back, and we had this training, compliance training, and one of the questions we had was, when you go to a customer and you have your gun with you, what are you doing with your gun? A, you leave it in your car. B,
Oh
you
my
give it
God.
at the lobby. C, you keep it yourself. And for me, the option was what gun? But I didn't have this option, what gun? I mean, yes, we have guns in Belgium, but that just doesn't stick with our reality.
Wow.
So this is actually a big difference between the US and Europe. Is yes, you have compliance, but the compliance training in the US are much more important. And a lot of those
Okay.
trainings are just basic to say, yes, we did it. Check, check, check. So the companies or they're not much spending in developing something interesting and where you really learn. It's more about, yes, I've done that training and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully in the, new era that we're in, we'll still continue having those trainings. A lot of corporates are changing direction, unfortunately. But yes, I understand that there's more of those kind of setups that we have to go through. Cool. So, what do you predict for the future of this industry? Like, future work is a huge topic, and this seems to be a big part of that. But what do you predict in terms of like how these technologies, solutions are developing and improving?
So regarding AI, I think it will develop extremely fast.
Yeah.
We won't get to AGI like they've been talking about before that fast, but there will be a lot of new applications, new ways to develop content, new ways to develop applications. So the way that we're working today will definitely evolve in the next 2-3 years. The skills that will be needed, it will it will adapt, but I don't think it will be that much that fast. The way I see it, AI today is helping, for example, very much on the creative side,
Mm,
especially for smaller companies, for example, that don't have big budgets. It's much
yeah.
easier to develop something, training or any other content using AI. Um, at the same time, AI with, for example, big data, or you want to do some analytics using your data, AI will be of great help. So I think that we will see on all levels, in all departments, we will use AI, whether we perceive it or not. Will it change the way we work? For some, definitely. For other, less. It will also be based, I think, on the different countries, because you have some countries that are very open to AI, others much less. They will have their own pace. Um, Regulation will also come, so there will be some limitations. Here in Europe, that's a big difference. We have many more regulations on that
Yeah.
part than the United States. So we will be, maybe I expect that we'll be a few years back compared to the US and China. Um, I would say it's very intriguing. I think there's a huge potential to improve society, but then it really depends, do we have the wisdom to use it properly?
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. And in terms of, what you're doing with Beyond and all the work that you're doing, what's next? How can people support you if someone wants to, get in touch, for the corporate they're part of or they know of, what's a good way?
Sure. So we're actually kind of lucky because we start getting a lot of traction right now, working on a big cybersecurity project and some other projects that are coming. But of course, we're always open for more. And we're also looking for people that are interested learning about AI, learning about 3D environment, or already using it and would like to collaborate, we're open. I'm personally working on a project called Rogue's Heist, which is a game that is completely created with AI generated content. It's like a movie game, interactive movie game, like the Fire
Yeah.
game that you saw there, but like a Star Wars version of it, if you want. And even for I use this to learn about AI and teach about AI. So I'm growing a community about people interested in learning more about generative AI, giving trainings and things like that. So I believe that from our side, our objective is to learn and teach. So anyone that is interested in learning, so maybe the best way to communicate with me.
Amazing. And what was the name of this platform or game that you're working on?
The game is called Rogues.
Rogues.
Rogues Heist in one word. Rogues,
Awesome.
it's like Rogue Heist, but with an S in the middle. Rogues Heist.
Maybe put it in the chat
Yes.
after on LinkedIn and YouTube. That would be great. So everybody can find it. And I already saw some of the visuals you've been posting, really cool stuff. But yeah, thank you so much. This was really cool to look
Thank you.
at these tools at a different angle and different use case, which a lot of us, we're on LinkedIn, so a lot of folks in the professional settings have experienced these corporate trainings, and I hope they understand how better this is. And hopefully more and more people, adopt this, and you get busier and busier.
Thank you very much for the opportunity
Thank you.
to
It was
to
really
present
fun.
here.
I
And
appreciate it.
thank you. And yeah, I would say the future can be very bright, and it's up to us to make it so. And one of the ways of doing it that is educating and teaching and training.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you to our amazing community for being here again. Felipe, Ian, Gabriel, of course, Chris, Casey, Natalia, and everyone else who's been tuning in. Rihanna, we appreciate you. We're so grateful for you. And please come back next week. We do this every Tuesday, 12 p.m. EST, talking about latest and greatest in emerging tech and immersive technologies. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you again, Lauren.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.